All right, folks, welcome back. Episode 130. It's been a while. It's been about 10 days or maybe even 2 weeks, not even sure, since we've done a podcast, but really happy to be back and happy to be back with a sponsor, of course, Maritime Madness. Make sure you check them out online, maritimemadness.com. Over 30 different flavors, rubs to choose from, hot sauce, you name it. Brittle, peanut brittle, one chunk challenge, t-shirts, lots of swag, everything you need. Let's get right into it, folks. A fantastic episode. Really excited to have Mr. Pat Major on. This guy, the list is too long. This is a guy who spent over 20 years in the military as a ranger, multiple different things, but also, you know, he's big into the combatives here on the East Coast. He's originally, I believe, from Ontario. I don't know him all that well. I spoke to him on several occasions, kind of going back to like 2014. He was very supportive of our events when we kind of went to Ontario and all through Canada. He always used to shoot messages off and just be very supportive and kind behind the scenes. And then he moved out here to the East Coast, and now he's doing his thing with Titans MMA, a black belt with those guys, and doing the military combatives and unarmed combat combatives. And he's a master parachutist. He's literally, if there's anything that you need to know when it comes to self-defense or killing somebody, Pat Major is the guy. So let's bring him on, folks. Mr. Pat Major, how are you, sir?
Nice, how are you?
Awesome. Yeah.
How's it going?
Thanks for. Good. Sorry about the delay here. I'm not sure what's going on. We're having some issues on maybe our streaming platform, so thanks for your patience.
Yeah, no, good. It might be the East Coast weather, nice and damp.
yeah, holding down the Wi-Fi. So how you been, man? It's I know you're also doing your own podcast too, which is great. I've been watching a couple episodes, and how you been? You're keeping busy through everything?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a big transition for Army guys. They get out of the military. They're juggling. I don't know a lot of guys that stick it out when it comes to the jiu-jitsu community in the military because we're so busy. So for us to be able to continue doing jiu-jitsu, I've been training since 2004. You know, most of my friends that started with me, they quit. It's because it's that longevity. People are chasing belts. I mean, I just got my black belt this year. It's been a long journey, long time, but I didn't join for that. I joined for the journey and what it gives you, like everyone else, right? And it's awesome, great. It's good recognition, but it's the journey you get while you're accessing these new skills, jiu-jitsu, for example.
Yeah, that's very well said. It's exactly, man. It's about the journey, the people you meet, the whole experience around it. And do you take kind of going from that, like, again, you know, I listed a few of your accolades, but you know, there's very that's a very small amount of what you've done in your life. And when you look at jiu-jitsu compared to like the other combatives or anything else that you've been involved in, do you take the same from that as well, like the same kind of?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like absolutely. Like one thing that is good to make clear is just to identify the realities and difference. Online, you're going to see lots of debates for what's the best. There's no best system. It's about the man. It's about their mindset, the aggressivity, and being able to understand one very important concept is when we're doing MMA or jiu-jitsu or a martial art, specifically, let's just talk about jiu-jitsu and MMA. You're winning the fight. There's rounds. You're trying to win and dominate the fight, and you should. And I'll even go further to say a guy that does MMA is going to have the tools to be extremely tough when he has to defend himself. He's going to have the conditioning. He's going to have the mindset, the aggressivity, and he's most likely going to do very well against anyone else that trains in anything. However, the biggest thing we do when we're training guys is make sure they understand that difference. You're not just winning the fight, because you might mount the guy, start smashing him with elbows, and miss one key detail. He's got weapons on him. He's in the back of your finger. Maybe he's got a friend that comes and soccer kicks you in the head. So as long as we do that small adjustment and understand to control the environment you're in, then everything else is easy. I'm also not a fan of label systems, or like, I teach Krav Maga, but I'm kind of steering away from that and just calling it combatives for one reason. is that if we try to identify with a system like jiu-jitsu, Krav Maga, Thai boxing, the issues are focusing too much on one realm. And as you know, real world violence and real conflict at near distance is very challenging when you start incorporating all those elements, including weapons. Mm-hmm. So, jiu-jitsu teaches you one thing that most martial arts and systems don't. It teaches you that you can practice at the level that you want to with a trusted training partner, and you can escalate that level depending on your relationship with that partner. So you can go really hard, but you're going to leave that night. You're not going to hurt each other. You can't fake fight, practice cutting each other with knives. Won't last long or be pretty.
Yeah. I'm always interested in that, because that exact conversation, coming from myself as a jiu-jitsu guy, but I'm very well aware of my jiu-jitsu skills. Yeah, like they might take me to certain places out in the street, but man, I don't know. I look at it exactly like you say, because I don't have that experience, like that close combat, like Krav Maga, that combatives, like aren't like people who have weapons, that kind of thing. Like it's a different world, man. Like jiu-jitsu, with a rule set, and it's different.
Yeah, there's like a tactical blade you can carry. It's illegal to conceal it, but I'll show you an example. Like, look how big this isn't even big. It has a retaining clip. I use this myself. You can put it on board shorts. You can have it on a set of jeans. Wow. It's a carbon fiber blade. I can hammer this through an actual piece of cinder block. It's not going to break. So it's very durable. It's got a non-slip manner on the thumb. It's got a non-slip on the double-edged blade on the blade, so your fingers aren't going to get cut. But imagine something this small being concealed in my waistband, and you tackle me, you clinch me, you try to take the guy to the ground, and all of a sudden he rips this out and starts peeling himself away from that threat. What we don't understand is there are very unassuming individuals, that don't present that. I happen to be wearing like just some hunting or army hat, because my hair is crap this morning, but I normally would, I don't present that I'm in the military. I can't really hide from that, because you got the short hair and the boxy head. But at the same time, like, what we teach is just making sure people do something, but understand the big picture. And it doesn't mean that some guy that's training weapon defense is doing it right. That's another thing, is there's too many people saying they teach combatives, or that they are doing combatives. Combatives, for those people that listen to it and have heard it since the early 2000s, people have been using like a buzzword, is basically using everything and anything at your disposal to deal with a violent threat in all environments. That's a pretty quick explanation of what combatives mean. So you can use your jiu-jitsu, you can use your Krav Maga, your Thai boxing, all the disciplines, boxing and wrestling. But really, at the end of the day, it's getting home safe. So as aggressive and cool videos people make that they're smashing people and crushing their soul, the reality is you want to break contact and avoid conflict at all costs. Now, when you're in that conflict, if you don't know jiu-jitsu and you're on the ground, absolutely you will suffer. But the difference is, how are you training jiu-jitsu? Are you training so that you can absorb those strikes? Are you training to secure and trap that individual so that they can't get leverage to strike at you or use weapons? Are you sweeping and then looking behind you for multiple attackers and clearing the area? So it's a very quick adjustment. You could be a world champion jiu-jitsu. You just learn a few basics, and all of a sudden you're good to go. You're street proof, or whatever they say. But to take a person that has no training and say that if all they do is jiu-jitsu, they'll be safe, is not very realistic, for one reason. Is the fitness level isn't guaranteed, because like I said at the beginning, how are you training with your partner? Are you a competitor training hard, or are you just training high five, having fist bumps and it's fun? Yeah. So there's a recreation and a really intense pace. Secondly, is, are you training to get hit? Are you training even just slap me in the head? Your jiu-jitsu changes. And once in a while we train plain clothes. So wear what you wear to work. We had some girls wearing like dresses, other guys wearing business suits. It was awesome. It was comical, but once every 3 months in our club, we would train.
It's realistic, for sure.
To use their scarf or their baseball hat, all that stuff. So yeah, man, it's good.
It's incredible to me because like those like I look at like you as like in the positions that you hold and have done, like you're the kind of people I want in those positions. You know, like I watched a podcast you talking about before, talking about all the, like through your army days and like all the other fights, whatever. At the end of the day, 9 times out of 10, it was the aggressiveness and like just the willing to be like, I'm going to go there if you're not, kind of thing that always took you through,
Yeah.
man. And I'm always amazed at people
Yeah.
that are just, because I don't have that. Like I don't mind going hard and rolling or whatever, but I don't have that, and I'm willing to admit it, right? But people that do have it, it's impressive.
Well, I was never, I wasn't born with that. I had to learn it like everything. I spent a lot of my years in the military, fortunately, in a job. I was a pathfinder, a ranger, a sniper, a parachute instructor. Basically, I was so fortunate, and I still look back and say, man, I was lucky, or I performed the right moment at the right time to get those opportunities. I had some operations overseas, but I was put in these dream positions and jobs like a young man would want. You join the military right out of high school at 19. All of a sudden, you're leading troops. You're jumping out of planes. It's a dream job, but it has its inherent risk. You'll hear in some of my other podcasts, like one of my friends is paralyzed. He used his mindset from that accident parachuting, and now he's a doctor. So what we learn isn't necessarily skills. It's that fortitude, that mindset. We're so concerned on what is beautiful, what is success, what is happiness, but we forget that the most important person is yourself. And I tell my students that just be a good asset in your community, be kind to others, try to understand that theory. Together we conquer. So, in jiu-jitsu, there's all these teams and different like differences of opinion with business, but we're all the same people. And if we could look at things differently and look at things as we are all the same people, we represent the same vision and passion, we find ways to disagree but work towards the same common goal, then it's a lot easier. And in combatives, I tell the guys, just by being part of that environment where I'm giving those lessons and they're hearing the same things, I keep them accountable. I keep myself accountable. I train every day so that I can actually lead by example. 46, I try to 20-year-olds, and I'm sure there's going to be a day where that's going to be difficult. But right now, my goal is to just go till I can. And if that can lead my children, lead my friends, lead my students, and show example, then great. But I learned that from guys I looked up to that I served with and friends that aren't here anymore. So my goal is to kind of do everything, love everything, and just go forward with that positive energy rather than focus on your limitations. And I think that helps inspire others.
Huge. Super inspiring, man. Like this podcast already has been like very well said. A lot of great insight, and I love it. I love it. And I go back to that when I started like doing this kind of stuff. You were one of the people that would message and be like, "Hey, man, you're doing good things here. Reaching out, and that goes a long way to people. It really does. And like you said, like whether it's the current climate of the world or it's jujitsu, man, like we're all in this together. And it's funny, like when people don't get along, I always try to find like what they don't like in common. Like there's something that you guys will love. I just got to find it that you guys both love it, and then you can be, you got to find that common ground. But it's I agree, man. It's super important.
Yeah, I think like the more if you look at the more you see, you'll see a lot of my buddies, like the more they've seen in the world, the less you'll hear from them. So on the internet is extremely mad. You hear the most voiced, opinionated individuals, but that doesn't represent overall the population or common people. There's a lot of really good people in your everyday. You don't run into like tons of jerks. Like you're running into common people. They have really good attitude. They're polite. They're respectful. And that's what we should focus on. And if you can, rather than be angry and arguing with everyone, just try to steer those people that might be insecure or lost or overcompensating for a fear, and just guide, lead. And we're trying to help people benefit from these lessons, and I think, until I can't do it, it's something I think I feel natural at trying to help others. And sometimes we we tend to forget about ourselves. So I still try to focus on that mental health, focus on physical, limitations, and making sure that, that if you can try to contribute, whether it's through training, challenging yourself. I still try to compete when I can. I think it's what it comes down to is accountability, but also self-discipline. And I think the world, they deserve to be happier, and the way they can do that is suffer more. So the more we suffer, and the more we shut our mouths, and we actually have discipline, and we accept that things might not go our way, and we find lessons out of that, and we just move forward as a group, it's a lot easier to be happy. Because if you give everyone everything, including, let's say, in a jiu-jitsu club or in martial arts or in our community, if you give them everything they want, they still won't be happy. And if you allow people to complain, they'll always complain. They'll never be happy. But if you guide that ship towards that positive growth, eventually they'll thank you for it. They're going to start seeing that you can still contribute with ideas. You can still participate and express, your frustrations, but we're all going in one direction. And the moment that you realize that you're part of a team, what are you doing to contribute to the team? Then we can all achieve. Once you avoid that, you become toxic, and then you're always reinventing the wheel, and it becomes personality based rather than it's a system. Just focus on being the best version of yourself to contribute. That's it.
Yeah, man, it's everything you're saying is like legit gold. It's all this is kind of shit that I've dealt with in this business again, like through the years of letting my mental health struggle because of all this kind of stuff. And it's amazing, man, when you hear this kind of stuff. You should run for mayor. I'm put Pat Major for mayor, HRM, man. I'm telling you, like motivating.
See, I wouldn't be. I wouldn't be able to do that for one reason, is that I can get along with you guys. I can get along with some of my Army buddies, but I think that unless you have the similar values with honesty, loyalty, integrity, authenticity, and accountability, and just being straight to the point, I'm not politically correct. I would tell people how I think to motivate them, but it might come across as a little harsh. So I think my role is good enough where I am. I'm doing these podcasts across Canada. I've got guys overseas. Some of my American buddies I served with. What I'm trying to do is show people outside of what we see. So, for example, I'm more impressed by the young kid that's fighting in your show or grappling. I've got friends from Ontario. They're willing to come out here. They're going to probably want to fight on your show. But I'm more impressed by that story than the people we see every day. For sure, we should acknowledge that. But man, I'm impressed about you, impressed about the student. I want to support that. I want to support locals. I want to support that mom and that dad that are struggling just to get to class to train, because that's really what's important, because you never know. That person might be a champ in life. They might contribute. They might save someone's life. And we focus sometimes, again, like I said at the beginning, our priorities on what is the best or what is the tip of the spear is sometimes skewed by what we see through media and the way the world tells us who's great and this and that. What we forget is context. So, for example, I have a career. My friends know my level. I have a good reputation, positive. But the thing is, that's just hearsay. Unless you've actually worked with someone and actually actually spoke to someone, a lot of our problems are conflicts, and we never even met the person. You see people yelling at each other online. Yeah. I have a theory. I won't argue online with someone unless I can punch them in the face. And the reason is that you wouldn't be talking to each other in person like that. So definitely. I don't even bother. I'm like, yes, I'm an idiot. Yes, whatever. And I ignore it, because I find if we focus too much on the best, you're never going to attain that. You're never done learning. There's always going to be someone bigger, better, faster. Just try to learn how you can be the best version of yourself. And maybe that'll inspire some kid or some other guy. Can you imagine being a coach and having one of your kids become like a world champ, or, one of these fighters one day is gonna make the East Coast look great? Like, we already have had plenty of fighters do very well internationally. So I
Yeah.
like that. I like focusing on being selfless. It's not about you as the person in the business or in charge. Like you're doing, you're giving a platform for people to shine, and that's very important. It's very important.
Yeah. Well, man, that's it. Like it's grassroots. Like a lot of people I think get into like especially promoting too. Like and like even I see it in a lot of fighters. They're like UFC. That's it. That's the first thing they think of. And it's like, man, focus on the moment of what you're doing right now. And that like all those things. And I went through it as a kid. You know, I want. But focus on now, and then eventually you might
Yeah,
get there. But like even as a promoter, we were like, oh, we want to get on UFC Fight Pass. We want to do this, and it's like now we're just like, no, we got to focus on us, like us and what we can do. Grow 1% every day to get
yeah.
better,
I would.
right?
Absolutely. I'd also, if I could say one other thing I've learned through all my experiences. I mean, the training I was exposed to in some of the operations, and just the exposure of, making it through it. I would watch other people that had everything going for them. And because their focus was so much on, looking good or finishing and having a badge on the shoulder, they weren't really understanding their why. Like I would die before I would quit. I was dedicated, that I actually believed in that purpose, and that was what I want to do for my job, for my work, for my family. But the idea is, no matter what you're doing, if you're a young fighter or you're a jiu-jitsu guy competing, it's like the famous Roger Gracie said, if you're competing just to compete, that's fine. But he doesn't compete, he competes to win. So if you're in it to win, then you got to put everything into it. Don't expect to win if you're not putting in your rounds, doing your well. So how you look at doing, I suggest less is more. So you have to know your limitations, and you also have to be honest with, I'm going to do just a little bit less, but I'm going to do that right. And then slowly that 1% starts becoming attainable because you focused on getting better. And lastly is, we focus so much, for the jiu-jitsu guys out there, so much on getting good without actually understanding how our body type can get good, our limitations. Just focus on what you should be doing well. Ask your coaches, communicate your frustrations, and focus on actually doing that. A lot of guys want results without putting the effort in, and they say, what's the secret? I want to be a blue belt, I want to be a purple, I want to be a black belt. I say, forget about that. Focus on actually understanding, like that first thing. The coach just showed you something. Now drill it. Just do that religiously till you're really good at it, and then do the next thing. And I think if you know your purpose and you have an intent, you're going to achieve goals, because motivation fades. Discipline is what's going to save you. So if you have a discipline of doing something, one task a week or a day, but do it, even if it's smaller, then at the end of the week, achieve something. So my son was training, all the time. And then he was getting hurt. He was getting burnt out, frustrated. Just do 2-3 days a week, get to the level, but do it right. And then when we work, I make sure that he's focused on those little things. And then when he goes and tests himself, it gets better. That's just a small example. But, as a whole, I would say, if you understand your why, your purpose in life, in everything, it makes things more clear. And if you're not happy, change it. Change that situation and start moving forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. It's that like for me in jiu-jitsu, like right now I'm going through a period where, I had to go out west. It's probably been, I might have trained once in the last 6 weeks, maybe, and I'm sore. I'm not feeling the best physically, like my back's a little sore. So it's like I've made that decision. It's now, I'm not training again until I get it looked at and feel better, man. I'm 40 years old, and I got to train smarter, not harder these days. But I want that longevity, right? But man, I don't know. You train with some of these kids at who are like 19 and 20. And it's going to be pretty impressive in 10 years, the level of jiu-jitsu on the East Coast.
Yeah, it's amazing to see also the evolution of how guys are doing. Like I said, it's this paradox thinking, like years and years of this misconception of how and who you should train with, and the whole culture of martial arts. Quite honestly, like I said, I kind of steer away from systems like Krav Maga, because there's so much lack of knowledge or understanding in real life threats. So, disarming a guy, or even being in a situation where someone could hit you,
Yeah.
it changes the environment. And, I often tell people, like, even for self-defense, like, we do survival training, we do tactical training, leadership, we do all kinds of stuff. But in self-defense or personal protection, I always say, like, put yourself in the environment you work in, like a nurse, and now all of a sudden you're getting attacked by some lunatic, and you have to use the environment. So there's a chair right there, there's a table, there's an obstacle you can use to defend and protect yourself. But we focus on that little bubble right in front of us instead of opening our arcs and looking around. And I relate that to life as well. Like, rather than focus on the problem, look at the big picture of it. And we all of us listening right now, like, we have it very good. I know it could be better, but just embrace that and use those experiences to see that, there's other people that have it way worse than we do. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's so true, man. I said that to a guy yesterday. He was saying, "Oh, man, don't get me wrong. Some days I wake up and I'm not the best mood by any means, but I was talking to this guy and he said, what a shitty day." And I was like, "Why?" He's like, "It's just cold." And I'm like, "Well, we're alive. We have food. Like, there's a lot of things to be pretty thankful for here, right?" But it's just the simple things, and it goes back to even like you're saying about how there's not a lot of moments, I guess, where you can actually test your metal, like, like these moments of, if someone is going to attack you, they don't happen a lot, but they can happen. So you damn well should be prepared. Like, I don't know. I thought about it a lot, getting into combatives, because it interests me a lot.
It's just dangerous if you don't do it right. You're going to learn things, like I said, some systems where it's, I've trained everything from like karate, taekwondo, kung fu, krav maga. I get all your belts in it, but one thing I saw is our system we create. We travel across the country to give seminars, and even in those 3 hours, even since we started changing some of the things we're teaching, because we test it live, or we've actually witnessed it in a world life environment, like a real life environment. So my biggest suggestion to people that are looking to do that is the less is more. So understand, train jiu-jitsu, train MMA, train kickboxing, train something to be active, to start instilling that, that trust and partnership, so you can have other people to train with, that you can practice with. And then what you start doing is you incorporate that. You do a few seminars, you learn some things, then you just drill it. But once it's too much, it's flashy, you got to test and question everything. And in everything you do, even in life, question it. And don't assume that someone in authority has the answer. If they're talking down to you, it's like, "No, this is how it works, son." It's like, no. Make sure that you test and challenge everything, and that's when you're going to start training in your environment. So it's really important that people understand you can get very knowledgeable in those skills, but it's not just about the self-defense. It's about having that will to survive and understanding when to not fight, when to understand legal implications, understand de-escalation. We teach all that, but another thing is you have to have that passion, that fire. How are you going to fight to defend your family when you have no physical stamina to last 2 to 3 minutes of sheer violence and aggression, maybe between two vehicles in the Walmart? You're a nice guy, you don't want to fight, but someone starts attacking you, and you have your children or your family to protect. Imagine, I have tons of people come to me after an assault happens. Imagine being the person right now that says, if anyone touched my kid, I would smash them, I'd kill them, but not having the ability to even do anything.
And it happens every day.
And watching someone attack your family. So right now is that humility and putting the ego aside and understanding, can I last? Do I have the fitness, and do I have the mindset to continue? But also being smart. So you learn the skills so that you don't just jump into an attack with some blades. And you also understand when to turn it on. So you can be kind and you can be a good citizen, but we train martial arts where we're so worried about going to jail or being in trouble. I train police officers. I've trained all the de-escalation, use of force. There's a time when you're going to go, your emotions are going to take over, the adrenaline, the fear, and you're a good person, you're going to be in the right. So it's no time to think, hey, I don't want to get in trouble, I don't want to hurt the individual. If they're trying to take your life, you're going to go to the level where you can control that environment, make it safe, So being calm and unemotional under pressure so that you can deal with that, because you might have to deal with multiple threats or other people attacking your family. So it's just train, get saturated. Don't expect to perform unless you're training. We go to the range and shoot. Expect to shoot under pressure if you only shoot once a year, once a month. So it's really just train. Do jiu-jitsu, train. You do whatever you do in life, train, and just get saturated. It's gonna suck. You're gonna feel like you're not getting better, but you actually are. And don't lose hope. Let everyone just focus. Did you do something? Did you actually go? You had a bad roll, a bad day, big deal. At least you did it, and that's all that matters.
Man,
yeah.
This is awesome, super motivating, man, and this is wonderful stuff. That's what kind of my a question I wanted to ask you is advice for people going through, shitty times right now, or COVID, or even up and coming young athletes, who maybe don't have the best mindset to not be fighting right now and struggling how to get through it. Mental toughness is a super important thing, like we've been preaching the whole time. So.
Yeah, there's differences. There's emotional health, that balance, understanding, and then and that can be based on psychological issues. It can be trauma. I've dealt a lot with that in my family and myself, with other individuals, and I've lost friends. They're not here anymore, and we live and honor their life through that. And I have lots of friends that reach out to me that struggle. I know everyone says, reach out to your friends, and that's what you should do. You should always understand that together we shall conquer. So open your eyes, get the courage to just say hello to one person, and then they may do something or say something that encourages you. I would really just encourage individuals to gain confidence. You have to almost let it out. Just cry it all out. Fail miserably. Get angry, hate yourself. It's all good. Just let it out. It sucks. Life sucks. Life's meant to suck. If it was easy, we'd all be astronauts. The point is just embrace the fact that that's normal. It is 100% normal to suffer. The difference is, are you going to suffer in silence, or are you going to embrace how beautiful your life can be if you do one thing? You reach out to me. I don't even if I don't know you, reach out to me. By the end of it, you'll be fired up, smashing things and ready to crush your day. But, there are certain levels of this, right? And with other people you trust, first of all, the people in your home, the loved ones, reach out. Don't be shy. For the guys, I'm tough, I'm a fighter. We're scared to show that vulnerability. The soonest you fail, the sooner you show vulnerability and feel it's the last step in my life where, I'm just submitting to everything. Then you will start feeling that power you have to accept, and you're not the only one. There's some of the most amazing humans out there that are the best humans because they've suffered. Lost a brother at 11 years old. I was 11. He was my best friend. I've had tons of friends die. I've almost died 4 times in my job. And now I'm some crazy, happy, lunatic, but it doesn't mean that I don't have bad days either. Yeah. The difference is how you decide to live your life and the purpose. So I would say it's going to be okay. Don't be shy to just say the one thing, grab a coffee with a friend or call, have a joke, watch a show, but don't take things so damn serious, because it's going to be okay. And it could be, ironically, a lot worse than you feel right now in your little bubble. Pop that bubble and it's a good experience. You'll see. Trust the people around you.
Very good advice, man. And I can vouch for anybody who is going to reach out to you, because I'm willing now. I'm going to go smash my day because of this, man. It's probably one of my favorite podcasts I've done, to be honest. So motivating stuff. I appreciate you coming on, man. It's been long overdue, and
appreciate it.
Time, but so just before we do get going, for everybody, for your podcast, how can they find you? How can they, attend? Myself, how can we attend? Get over and train with you and
so we're training people across Canada. Obviously, with all the restrictions, we're keeping things right now on the East Coast, the Atlantic bubble. I was in Gagetown doing seminars for combatives, and I'm doing private trainings right out of our personal space. facility that allows for like some pretty intensive training. It's good.
Yeah.
I'm doing 2 classes a week at Titans. Monday and Wednesday nights we're doing a combatives class, but primarily you get a hold of me. I do some stuff out of home. I'm doing some stuff for survival courses all across the, and I'm doing some combatives. And if it's to reach out to we'll put you in touch with other people across Canada to start training and doing something. And it doesn't take much, and that's the biggest thing. These podcasts, at the end of the podcast that we do 30, 40 minutes, short like yours. At the very end, we'll share a skill. You'll see all kinds of different levels of skill because it's our guests. But I'll personally be showing some stuff. I have a DVD right now. It's very basic. We filmed at BJJ Fanatics. It's just a basic self-defense, tip of the iceberg, but then we get more in depth. So whether it's through social media, due to the confines of COVID, you can reach out that way, watch the content, ask questions, or come in person and train with me. I'm out in Halifax. Just reach us at Unik Skills on Instagram or Facebook, or our email, info@unikskills.com.
Perfect. Awesome, man. Well, I'll be in touch, and I'll make sure to share that a little bit more when we do post it. I'll put the website right on there. And yeah, man, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks again for joining us, Pat. And
appreciate it, brother.
Man, super motivating stuff. So everybody, make sure you get out there and follow Pat, Unik Skills on Instagram, Facebook, and yeah, it won't be the last, man. Enjoy your day.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
Awesome. Likewise. Take care, brother. Awesome.
Fantastic, folks. Pat Major. And I mean that, folks. That's the kind of stuff, for me, a lot of these times, these podcasts, it's me interviewing somebody, which I'm not the best at anyway, So I love these conversations when it's like a fluid conversation, and I'm learning so much. Pat is a guy with an overwhelming amount of knowledge, and knowledge that has been put to the test, which is a huge difference, right? So get out, follow him. At Unik Skills on Instagram, check them out, and yeah, we'll be back. I think tomorrow we're back, and one of these days we're back with UFC Hall of Famer Stephan Bonner, and we got a couple other guys in the mix here coming up. But yeah, thanks to our sponsor, Maritime Madness. Check them out online, maritimemadness.com. Over 30 different flavors to choose from. Use the code FLA10 to save 10%. Get free shipping over $35 in Canada. All right, folks, have a wonderful day. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you soon.